What's up, people? You're listening and watching the Raps Talk podcast presented by HipHoopJunkies.com and HoopHeadsNorth.com and our sponsor, FanEssentials.net. My name is Romeo Aquino. I have with me
Jean-Francois.
And back on the
Huey,
podcast.
Fairweather fan Sampang. Didn't show up to the last lost podcast, show up to the winning podcast. Oh, yeah.
Thanks for grace and presence, sir.
So this is just a few minutes out of the game, but the 98-87 win over Indiana in Toronto. A big win. The series is now evened up. It was a convincing win on the Raptors' end. Pacers made a game of it in the second quarter, went on a 15-2 run, brought it close, but in the second half, Toronto was able to keep them off. Before we get into the game, what was kind of like the reaction that you saw like from the fans after game one?
They were just overreacting, like chicken little, like just the sky is falling, like just like Aaron Rodgers once said, relax, RELAX, just relax. You know what I mean? Just overreacting from one loss. Now, yes, the Raptors the past two seasons have had some poor. I wouldn't even say luck. They've just had some poor games and have resulted in a disgruntled and cynical fan base. But come on, guys, one game at a time. One game at a time.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, people are seeing the Raptors as a history rather than the history isn't this team. Like some of these guys are facing this for the first time, or facing it with the Raptors for the first time. So it's going to be different, and yeah, it sucks like to feel like, oh no, here we go again for the Raptors. But they got the win. Series doesn't start till someone wins on the road, and that game 3 is going to be crucial.
Yeah, definitely crucial. Yeah, I ran a poll on my Twitter if the glass was half full or half empty as a Raptor fan, and it was 55% half full, so there were still it was slightly full, so the fans were most fans were on the positive side. But yeah, Raptors made some adjustments. Coach Casey made adjustments to the lineup, brought in DeMarre Carroll to start in place of Norm Powell. What did you think of that move by Coach Casey?
Strategy-wise, I liked it. It was just unfortunate that DeMarre picked up 2 early fouls where he couldn't stay in longer. And I was nervous at that point because it was like, oh man, was that Coach Casey's kind of his main card that he was going to show, and got exposed early on because of their foul trouble. But the Raptors rolled in the first quarter from that point on. So I like the idea of what he was trying to do there, just trying to shake it up a little bit. And if anything, I think that that might have allowed Norman Powell to come in a little bit more relaxed as well.
Yeah, he can come in relaxed, and he's like an energy guy as well. So to give more energy with that second unit with guys like Pat Patterson and Biyombo and Corey Joseph, it feels like it's going to have to work that way. And I think he's going to stick with it. And, it kind of sucks that DeMarre hasn't had that much playing time, and he's kind of working his way as we go along, but it can only get better. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. He is still a bit rusty. I mean, it's obvious in this game, and he's like you were saying, he has to play through it. But yeah, I think the lineup change was good. It gave the Raptors a different look. JV was big again, especially the first quarter, but he finished with 23 points and 15 rebounds. The Pacers don't seem to have an answer for JV, eh?
And I'm loving that. It just gives the Raptors a different look than what they normally do in the regular season. And if they can get out of this first round, I think that will bode well for the next round and for subsequent games. So just hoping that DeMar DeRozan can get going, and then we just kind of see the full package. But that said, yes, I love the fact that JV was able to show in the first 2 games what he's able to contribute. And if you're just going to go one-on-one, JV's going to eat those guys up. He's got post moves. He's nice around the basket. He's energetic. He's clearly gobbling up those rebounds. So yeah, just let the young man roll. And as long as the Pacers are going to just send one guy at him, just keep feeding the big man and let him get going.
Also, it's who you want to focus on as well. Like, there's that constant ebb and flow between paying more attention to the stars and letting the bench guys beat you, or playing everybody straight up and then letting the stars go to work. And right now, Lowry and DeRozan are, their shots aren't falling, and maybe some more defensive pressures being put on them. But Lowry has made some great decisions, and a lot of Jonas's buckets have come from Lowry passes and Corey Joseph passes. It's been, he's come a long way from when he gets the ball down low in his rookie season and he takes 10 seconds to put the ball up, as opposed to now when, just that split second, even off little alley-oop passes where he just drops into a quick layup. It's great to see.
Yeah, fantastic. And to add on to your point, Yui, Lowry, he wasn't as effective as he is known to be offensively, but still found many other ways to affect the game. And it was an impact, every time the ball was in his hands. He was either setting somebody else up, he was, he was drawing fouls, he was being aggressive with the basketball, he was getting in there for rebounds himself. So he was trying to make sure that he was making a positive impact, even though his shot wasn't falling.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if they start to double team JV in the post for eating them up like that, time for the threes to fly and the cutters to cut in, and things can really get going. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's good for JV to make his presence felt these first 2 games. So now that Indiana's going to have to adjust for JV. But going back to Lowry, he played 40 minutes, 18 points. 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 steal, and he was perfect from the free throw line, 10 for 10. So another great bounce back game, and like one of these guys between Lowry and DeRozan had to come back and make an impact. Shooting wise, Lowry was 4 of 13, but yeah, like Sean was saying, like he found other ways to get the team involved, and especially JV. Now DeRozan on the flip side, 31 minutes, 10 points. 5 of 18, and he didn't get to the free throw line at all. Didn't play in the fourth quarter. How did you feel about that? Coach Casey made that adjustment. It wasn't working for DeMar, and he went with some of the guys off the bench. So, what did you think of DeMar's performance and what Coach Casey did with him?
I thought it was unfortunate that he had a second straight game. That he wasn't effective with his scoring. That said, as a coach, that it's all about the win. I don't think that DeMar's feelings are going to be hurt that he sat in the fourth quarter. His team got the win. Sometimes you hit scoring slumps and you don't shoot the ball as well as you want to, and that's unfortunate. But ultimately, it's all about the win. I'm sure that he'll continue to review film and keep shooting in the gym, and I'm sure I won't be surprised if he's in the gym tonight putting up shots. Just to try and get to see the ball go through the basket like scorers and shooters do. So I think that Coach Casey definitely made the right decision going with the guys that were getting the job done in the fourth quarter. Ultimately, it's all about the win. And in the playoffs, you play the guys who are being effective and doing what is needed to be done to get your team a W.
Yeah, for sure. DeMar, what do you guys think? Like, do you think he's going to bounce back in Indiana, where he's not playing kind of like in front of the home crowd?
What do you think, Yui?
I hope so. When you look at the guys on this team, like Patrick Patterson was shooting poorly earlier in the season, but he always found other ways to contribute. And Lowry's always one of those guys that can find other ways to contribute. But DeRozan seems, getting to the line and scoring and putting up points seems to be more of DeMar's focus, and that's what they need out of him and expect out of him. But if this continues, he's got to find other ways to help the team.
Mm-hmm.
So, from the glass half full perspective, DeMar has played their best scorer has played absolutely terrible on offense, and their two best players have played terrible on offense, although Lowry's found other ways to score. So they have a lot of room to improve despite the series being 1-1. So
what do you think, DeMar, in terms of, he had 18 shots. From what you guys watching, what did you think of his shot selection? Is it just the shots not falling, or is he taking bad jumpers?
This game, I didn't think. Game number 2, I didn't think that either Kyle or DeMar's shot selection was poor. There might have been a couple times where they short-armed it a little bit, like rushed it maybe, didn't take their time as much as they could have. But overall, I thought that their shot selection was pretty good. Just shooting the ball a little hard, kind of coming off the back rim, a little heavy. But no, I thought the shots themselves were pretty good. He hit DeMar specifically. He hit his first 2 shots coming into the starting the second half, and I thought, okay, maybe he'll get going here. But unfortunately, that was about all we saw as far as any consistency with his shooting.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. So I think Indiana's doing what they want to do with DeMar. DeMar's known to get to the line, and it shows tonight he was 0 for 0 from the free throw line. So I think from that perspective, Indiana did what they needed to do with DeMar. For the bright spots for Indiana, it was Paul George again, 28 points, 8 of 15, 10-11 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and but him and Monte Ellis, 15 points. Kind of carried the team, but not much else coming from the rest of the Pacers roster. What kind of adjustments do you think these guys will make for the next game against the Raptors?
Well, in game 1, the Pacers shot the 3 ball with a lot more, and they made more shots as well. I think the Raptors did a better job of defending them from 3. So I think that the Pacers are going to try and move the ball a little bit more, see if they can't inside-outside game a little bit. I can't say that it was just kind of got stuck. The ball got stuck for the Pacers, but they definitely didn't have the same kind of flow offensively outside of George and Ellis. So I think that's one thing they'll try and look at is trying to move the basketball a little bit more. Look at the tape themselves now. They'll be the ones trying to make the adjustments going into Game 3 and seeing if they can come up with some easier looks to get their team going, especially in front of their home crowd for Thursday.
So now, before we talk about the Raptors, the next game, we got to talk about the Raptors bench. Patrick Patterson, 31 minutes, 14 points. He was huge. He's all hustle. And Corey Joseph, again, 16 points. He's bringing that experience from the Spurs, and it's really translating well into the playoffs. And then Norm Powell, he played 22 minutes. He only had 3 points, but what he did off the ball, you can only commend him for it. Especially some of the defense on Paul George. So what were your guys' thoughts about the bench tonight?
They were the reason that the team won tonight. They got the job done. Outside of JV, of course, but just consistency, as you alluded to and referenced, Romy. Defense, things off the basketball on the other end of the floor. That second quarter was atrocious from a defensive perspective for Toronto, and I thought that they improved on that in the second half and were able to pull away and really establish themselves. But it was definitely the bench, that second unit that came in and really got them a spark. Especially JV, he picked up that 4th foul. And Bismack Biyombo, a.k.a. BB-8, he came in there and got things rolling too. So that was
things rolling, BB-8.
Like that?
Nice work.
Star Wars action, you know.
Your thoughts on the bench?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the, sometimes plus minus isn't always an accurate thing to go by, but tonight it definitely is because Patrick Patterson and Norman Powell were just two big energy guys, and they're both huge plus 21 for the night
Mm-hmm.
that they're in. And yeah, just bringing that defensive energy. Hope T. Ross hit those two big threes and just stepped in and hit the shots when they were open. Hopefully he'll be all right with the headache, concussion-like symptoms, but you don't want to say that word, otherwise he's going to be out. Yeah, no, they are the reason they've stepped up big.
Yeah, no, I mean, Terrence Ross, I mean, when he hit those two big threes, I was kind of looking forward to see him, like, maybe, like, drop, like, 15, 17 points and kind of, like, make an appearance in the playoffs for the first time. But unfortunately, yeah, he went head-to-head with DeMar. I mean, it just kind of clashed, and they had to take him out and kept him out of the game. So hopefully he'll be back for the next game, because I mean he can be a spark off the Raptors bench. But yeah, so hopefully next game, April 21st on Thursday, 7:30 Eastern start, 8:30 Atlantic time. So you guys have anything else for this game that you wanted to talk about?
Just that Raptors fans, just one game at a time. It's a different team. Like I talked about at the beginning of the podcast. Like it's just a different team. Different things happen each year, and if anything, you will hope that they learn from these experiences and disappointments of the past and are able to move on. So Thursday will be another big test, and ultimately, like we said in our series preview podcast, just get out of the first round, But in order to do that, you have got to approach it one game at a time. You just have to.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny because the fans are 0 or 100. Like, we're gonna win the championship, or it's the end of the world. This is the same old Raptors crap.
At least they got the win.
Exactly it too.
Yeah, it's one or the other, and and I can understand. I mean, if you're one of those Raptors fans, then I mean, you're kind of like you've been hoping for so long. I mean, if you're a Toronto sports fan, and you're not used to seeing like playoff success, I can see why you can be kind of you can kind of have that attitude. But I mean, we all think that this Raptors team is different than previous seasons. I mean, obviously with the 56 wins in a regular season, DeMar and Kyle Lowry, I mean, led this team to the playoffs. So if anything, like these guys will be doing it in the playoffs as well. So I mean, you wouldn't even be here without Kyle and DeMar. So I mean, as much as you want to trash their play in the playoffs, I mean, they wouldn't be the number 2 seed without them. So.
And even comparing the last year, like if DeMar and Lowry played this terrible last year, 0-2, like no question. Right. But now it's 1-1. They played good D, and the supporting cast stepped up, and they won one of these games. So if they can get going, like it's gonna be amazing. Good times ahead, possibly. Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of expert picks too. Like they have the Raptors in the conference finals. I mean, that is, I mean, as a Raptors fan, that's
yeah.
It's hard to believe that you could think that the Raptors would be in the conference final, but I mean, based on what these experts are looking at and what they did in the regular season, I mean, they see them in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, against Cleveland for most of the ones that I've seen. So, I mean, we'll see. Time will tell to see where this team goes, but yeah, I mean, hopefully they can kind of, I mean, get things going first round, and then hopefully DeMar Carroll's, I mean, good to go for the second round. But again, one game at a time, Sean.
Yeah.
So that's it for the podcast. Stay tuned in the blogs, hiphoopjunkies.com and hoopheadsnorth.com. Follow us on Twitter at Romy Aquino, at Sean Francois, at Yui the Jock, also at Hip Hoop Junkies, at Hoopheads North. This is episode 87. We out.